Okay. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shikha Rustgi, CA Shikha Rustgi. I am working as a expert with expert as a valuation practitioner. So I welcome to all of you for this program on a comprehensive approach to Fema. And today we are on the 7th session, which is appeal and arrest under Fema. And speaker for this session will be Advocate Raja Valecha sir. I am thankful to Sudha ma'am for giving me the privilege to give the introduction and for being the mentor of this session. I thanks to all of you also for giving me this opportunity. Now let me introduce the esteemed speaker of the today's session. Yeah. Raja Valecha sir, he is a chartered accountant by qualification, and he is also an advocate. He has completed the course on anti-money laundering by ICAI, and he is having postgraduate diploma in financial management, postgraduate diploma in intellectual property rights, along with post graduation in commerce. And he has cleared all bar council exam in 2019. He is practicing as an advocate in High Court, appearing before High Court, District Court, Income Tax Tribunal, Reserve Bank of India in Fema matters, all civil matters, all criminal matters. He has worked with Nedumpara advocates, worked with TP Oswald, video consultants, with Sudit K. Pari, contractor Naik and Kishnadwala. He has worked with all these esteemed firms. And being on his experience side, he has given advisory services in Income Tax Companies Act, Fema, Reserve Bank of India, Limited Liability Partnership, GST, FCRA. His other professional work include he has appeared for Fema Compounding before Fema Compounding Authority. He has done audit of private limited and partnership firms, transfer pricing audits also he has done. And he is conservation of private limited and into conversion of LLP or NP private limited companies. He is assisted in process involving in the corporation of companies. Formulation of public trust, income tax assessment proceedings. He has appeared before the Office of Labor Commissioner also. He is a member of Institute Chartered Accountant of India. He is a member of Bar Council of Bombay and Goa. He is a member of Bombay Chartered Accountant of Society, and he is a member of All India Federation of Tax Practitioners and member of Indian Professional also. So this was all about our esteemed speaker of today's session. Now we will start with the session. So now it is over to you, sir. We can start the session. Thank you.
Will I share my PPT now? Right now, is okay. Shall I share my PPT?
Yes, sir, please.
Yes, sir. We can start.
Visible? Can be seen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We can
Yes,
see.
First of all, I am thankful to the organizer for taking such a pain to bring the life to this program. Dreaming is otherwise very easy, but to bring dream into reality is very difficult. So, however, our organization, along with the team of faculty, has made this dream successful. Before taking up this subject, I practice presently in Bombay High Court. I see several cases on income tax. Sometimes I see the cases on, very few cases comes for related with the RBI. And very few out of few comes for the arrest under the Fema. Now, let me start with my session. Now, presume that, I'm just sharing with you my practical plus theoretical experience. And this is very interactive session. I don't want to be one-sided, I'll just go on speaking, other are listening. So I will start with my question plus with my experience, okay? Now, I presume that the audience are chartered accountant. Okay. Now, I start with my practical plus theoretical experience. Now, be sincere in your words and let me know how you think before giving any opinion without knowing the repercussion of your advice. See, many of chartered accountants, we give the opinion on various topics, whether it's Fema, whether it's income tax, and we give sometimes oral advice also. Do we know the repercussions of that oral advice? Any answer, any reply from audience? We give on day-to-day basis oral advice without having any documentation, without having anything. And based on that documentation, our clients works. Say for whether it's advice related to ODI, whether it's advice related to FDI, whether it's related to NRI, anything, we give advice, but without knowing any repercussion. Let me take very hypothetical example now. Now, Mr. A is from Coimbatore. Okay, he is the resident of India. He is from Coimbatore. One minute. He is from Coimbatore. Now he is owner of company I. That is, he is the shareholder of the company I. Now that company I makes an overseas investment in company UK1. That is, that UK1 become wholly owned subsidiary of ICO1. Now that UK1 makes investment in UK2, that UK2 becomes wholly owned subsidiary of UK1. Now UK2 makes an investment in Singapore company. So Singapore company become the wholly owned subsidiary of UK2. Now Singapore company makes an FDI investment in ICO2, which is Bombay based company, which is owned by Mr. B and his family. Now presume that thing. Mr. A and Mr. B are related, closely relatives. Does this amount to round tripping? How many of you know what is round tripping? Please. Am I audible? Hello.
Sir, you are audible. You are audible, sir.
Does this amount to round tripping? Mr. A makes investment in Indian company 1, that makes in UK1, that makes in UK2, that makes in Singapore 1, that makes in ICO1, which is held by the B, and A, B are related persons. Does it amount to round tripping? Now, what is round tripping? Not in normal sense, round tripping is nothing but if money is going out of India and coming back that money in different form or otherwise. So money is going out of India, same money is coming back. So does this transaction, does this structure amounts to round tripping? Question may be probably, answer may be probably yes, or it may be no. Some say no, because there are so many conduit in between, it cannot make it round tripping. Though these are different, and merely having a relationship does not make it to be round tripping. There are, different consultant may give different answer to you. Now, Mr. B had come to you with very limited facts. Okay. He says, sir, there is one Singapore company. That company wants to make investment in my company. Is it permissible? 1 minute, please, 1 minute. Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Would you? No. So now that B comes to you, sir, please give me advice. There is one Singapore company and the investment in FDI compliant that in Singapore company can make investment in Indian company. He has just come for your oral advice. Now, you being chartered accountant or advocate, you say, yes, why not? Without knowing the fact that how the money has routed through this conduit, without knowing the fact there's a relation between A and B. And he says, sir, give me your bill. You give the bill of 1,50,000. Okay, I give very big advice to you, advice on the so-called business structuring, overseas business structuring, and you write in your invoice, being services provided for overseas restructuring. Okay, you know what had happened? This Singapore company has some transaction with other Indian company, and that other company is on the radar of Enforcement Directorate. That company is on the radar of Enforcement Directorate. Now, Enforcement Directorate got some clue about that company. So they started investigating. They realized that this company has a transaction with the Singapore company. And they further realized that that Singapore company has, that is it nothing but FDI in an Indian company. So they got the clue. There is something called Singapore company. There is something called Indian company where that Singapore company has an investment. Now they decided to let's also investigate Indian company, that is ICO 2. They take up the legal procedure to investigate whatever notice are required that is sent. They started investigating and asking, making the inquiries with the Mr. B, who owns the Indian company. Now Mr. B says, sir, I am a layman. Don't ask me any question about structuring. This is my chartered accountant consultant who has made me to do this structure. Now, who has made me to do this structure? I don't know anything. I'm a layman. How can I know Fema? How can I know ED? Then it's okay. Now, who's your consultant? Now, who's my consultant? Then he gives your name. See, my consultant is Mr. A or Mr. Raja. He has given us this consultancy, do this investment. There is nothing problem in this. I realized that I got some clue that, oh my God, I had given this advice. Now, if this person has taken my advice and he has given me only one fact, but this structure is like this. He makes a statement before the Enforcement Directorate, that is adjudicating authority. Okay, sir, this is the statement. I am giving this thing. This structure is given by this thing. I say, sir, I had given this structure based on the limited facts. He has given me the Singapore company. No, sir, see his invoice. His invoice says overseas charges for overseas structuring. So it includes whole structuring. Now, the question which arises here is that whether any confession or statement made by your client before the Enforcement Directorate is admissible under the before the court of law. That becomes the first question. Now, when that ED comes to your place for search, you know that you had accommodated some of your clients in getting the GST input credit. Now you are very frightened. Now this person is making inquiry in my office also. Now you resist him, you deter him, don't make any such search in my office. Okay? Because quite obvious, when I done something wrong or when I helped something, accommodated something in input credit, definitely if ED comes, personality like ED comes to my office for investigation or inquiry, definitely I'll deter him, don't do this, I will not allow you to do this thing. Now, first question I told you whether the statement made by my client before the Enforcement Directorate is admissible in the court of law or not. Second question, I'm not allowing ED to make his inquiries or investigation whether ED can invoke section 353 of Indian Penal Code against me. Because ED is from police department. Say, for example, he is deputed from police department. He knows ups and downs of the police. So what he says, sir, you are not allowing me to do my inquiries. So there is nothing, tell me that why should not I invoke section 253 of IPC? Now see, two acts are now behind you. One is Fema. There's something wrong in the Fema. He has made the statement and that too before the ED. And third statement, when you did not allow the ED to do his work, now he is behind you taking the shelter of the section 253 of IPC. Now I'm coming to first question. If you see the section 25 of Indian Evidence Act, if you see the section 25 of the Evidence Act, it says any statement, any confession made before the police is not admissible as an evidence. So now second question arises whether this Enforcement Directorate people are police officer or not. There are some judgments, and if you see the appointment, how the police is appointed, what are their duties, they have different, the powers vested with police are different than the Enforcement Directorate. So under any circumstances, I cannot say that enforcement directed are the police officer. So statement or confession made by my client against me that he has advised me this structuring is an admissible evidence before the court of law. Now, second terminology I use, the section 353 of Indian Penal Code. This is very big a weapon in the hands of ED. He says, he files an FIR against you. He says, see, you had not allowed me to do my work. If you are deterring public servant to discharge his duty, then you are subject for punishment, imprisonment for the term of 2 years. If you read the section, it reads like this: whosoever assault or uses the criminal force to any person being a public servant in execution of his duty as such public servant, or with an intent to deter that person discharging his duty as public servant. So he says, if you are not allowing me to do duty, then definitely I will go against you and I will invoke the 253. So these are the repercussions when you advise your client blindly. That too when you give your oral consultation, and that too when you write in your invoice that I had given this, this fees is charged for overseas structuring. So this is the welcome to the world of the Fema. It's not only Fema. When you read Fema, you need to read all section across the law. It's not that I'm only practicing in Fema. Other laws do have equal repercussion, but you need to say it. Now, there was little bit confusion in my mind. What confusion? The confusion was that whether Fema is the branch of civil law or whether Fema is the branch of criminal law, or it is the branch of law which falls in any other category. Now, what is that other category? It can be quasi-criminal or it can be quasi-civil. Some say quasi-criminal, some say quasi-civil. Now, before taking decision on this, whether Fema is a civil, normally we see the Fema is a civil law because nothing, there is a compounding process. Now, before that, you need to understand what is the process involved, what is how you differentiate between the civil law and the criminal law. If you see the civil law, basically civil law deals with the act related to the individuals. It related to the individuals. Now, criminal law deals with the crime that caused damage to person, but it has the repercussion on whole society as well. Now, can I not say when some person has caught under money laundering, it has some impact on society? Can I not say there was some, foreign exchange dealings which are not permissible? Can I not say this has an impact on the society? Just I'm in between. I want to answer subsequently. Let me come each and every point. Why? How to distinguish between the civil law and the criminal law. Then I will come on arrest also, and that is also very interesting. Now, kind of liability. If you see the civil law, it creates the private liability. There are two persons, they got some differences in them, and the fight between them is a private. Now, if you see the liability, it has the repercussion on the society. Okay. Now, in case of civil, punishment is monetary relief. But in case of criminal law, imprisonment term or fine or both, this is the punishment. Now, merely using the word arrest, arrested, arresting, imprisonment, civil imprisonment, does that make Fema to be a criminal law? You cannot answer because we need to see the substantive provisions of the law. Now, we need to understand what are the objectives of the last objectives of the civil law and the criminal law. Basically, civil law is the dispute between the two individuals. And if you see the criminal law, it is justice to the victim by punishing the accused. Broadly, when you see the types of offenses, see these types of offenses you will not find somewhere in Fema or somewhere in commercial law. Basically, you will just find in the mention in the Code of Criminal Procedure. Some are cognizable law where the police officer will arrest you without warrant. Say, for example, murder and all these things are cognizable. Non-cognizable, okay. Small theft like that, they are called non-cognizable. Bailable, where you can pay the bail. If you can get the bail from the court, Non-billable where you cannot get the book. Now compoundable, non-compoundable. Some offenses are compoundable. Compounding means you are paying money. You are paying something and compounding your offense so that there should not be any other repercussion. Now, do you feel that why this FEMA should not be a criminal act? Anybody has any reason why FEMA should not be any criminal? It should not be criminal act. It is definitely a civil law. As of now, it is civil law. But why it cannot be criminal law? Because there are multiple reasons which advocates it should be criminal law. I'll take back to you somewhere in November 2019. There was a news headline. Many of us use newspaper. Times of India is one of the best newspapers normally we use. If you open the page, first or second page, I don't remember the page. It was on 13/11/2019. The headlines in the Times of India was intelligence agencies favoring making FEMA criminal act like PMLA. See, there are now, what had happened is multiple agencies, intelligence agencies, just like DRI and other investigating and RBI, they met in the Delhi. And other agency, say that, see, why we don't, make this FEMA law to be criminal law? Because under FEMA, the criminal offense in the view of huge trade-based money laundering. And this smuggling of foreign currency out of India. Why we should not make? They were discussing, because they came there for discussion whether we should go for it or not. Now one of the representative in that meeting was RBI officer also. He says, come on, why you want to make FEMA to be criminal law? If you make FEMA to be criminal law, it will hamper the direct investment in India. RBI took the stand in that meeting held on 13/11/2019 that if you make the FEMA law to be criminal, it will hamper the direct investment in India. On November 19, 2019, Rajya Sabha was informed by the ministers of the state for finance that as on 30th September 2019, ED is investigating around 8,356 cases on that date, which include 963 cases of PMLA and 7,393 cases of FEMA. So imagine the figure, the total cases where ED is making investigation is 8,356 cases, out of which 7,393 cases are under FEMA and 963 under PMLA. So around 88.48% of cases are of FEMA violations. Now I will take some few high-profile cases which really comes to my mind is the Kingfisher, Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi, INX Media, Winsome Diamonds, Mehul Choksi, Fortis. And most surprisingly, on this April, 30th April, Enforcement Directorate on 30th April announced that they had seized 5,551.27 crores from the China Xiaomi for illegal outward remittance, Section 4 of the FEMA. Just imagine, FEMA is a civil law. You do some violation, pay penalty and get out of it. No other repercussion. No other repercussion. Being FEMA, civil law. Now, I fail to understand. RBI said if you make FEMA to be a criminal law, then our FDI will get hampered. See, in today's world, we are living with the Indian Penal Code also, Code of Criminal Procedure. Are we afraid of that acts? No, because we are obeying the law. Okay, because we are obeying the law. If the investor or if the person who is investing in India is genuine person, is doing genuine business, then why you should afraid of the criminalization of FEMA and arrest and imprisonment? in Fema. So first statement which was given by the RBI that it will hamper the FDI, that is not acceptable. Now, if you see the investment decisions are solely based on economic viability. It has nothing to do whether Fema is criminal law or whether it's that law. One more thing I'll just remind you. On 19th November, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman was also announced that public sector banks reported frauds involving more than 95,700 crores in the first 6 months of the current financial years. And most of the frauds are generally on account of illegal trades. Now, based on transaction. Now, is it not the Fema? Which are also offenses under Fema? You have another Augusta Westland case. You got other cases of Zakir Naik. I don't have to, elaborate on that cases. Now, why Fema should be made as criminal law? It is not criminal law. From that day, they had not given any input whether it should be made or it should be kept as a civil. So as of now, it is civil law only. But strong cases for Fema to be made a criminal law. See, violation under Fema are compoundable. Do whatever you want. There is a contravention. Go to Fema for compounding. You get compounded, you pay penalty, and you get out of the law. Common violation that make a mockery of the Fema include trade-based money laundering by over-invoicing imports, under-invoicing export, round-tripping of funds, which are otherwise also covered by the PML. The transaction, it's very difficult to make out whether it can be bought under Fema or it can be triggered under PMLA, that is prevention of money laundering, because some of the offenses which are carried under Fema are part of the, if you see that they are part of the scheduled offense which are there in the schedule given under the PMLA, which attract the PMLA rigors. Now, before touching upon the arrest under Fema, which is very interesting, even though only section 13 and 14 deals with the arrest, that too very minuscule, let me cover contravention. So before covering before starting with my arrest and imprisonment, the words, if you see the Fema, what kind of words they create, RBI creates, I don't understand. First of all, they create the word called something called sensitive, instead of sensitive compound, whatever they used to use, sensitive word. Sometimes they kill civil imprisonment, which has never been used anywhere. And Fema, they themselves not know what is the civil imprisonment. Now, before that, before going to the arrest and the imprisonment or arrested, let me start with something called, I'll touch upon the contravention very broadly. Come to section 11, that is chapter 3, and chapter 4, that is section 13. But before that, before starting, just I will cover very small definition. Definition of person, which is, which we had studied in taxation law also, right from our TY BCom. Let me touch upon the definition of persons. Let me thereafter touch upon the level 3 of the Fema. Thereafter 13, then I will come to your arrest and the appeal sessions. If you see the section 2U of the Fema, which defines the term person, it says personal includes. Now, what is included in the person? What we had studied in TY, that remains same. Individual, HUF, company, firm, AY, every artificial person not falling in any of the above class. If you see the 7th clause, any agency, office, branch owned and controlled by such person. Okay, we had studied long back, and we remember, everyone remembers whether they study Fema or not. Now come to the section 11.3 of the Fema. which provides for the contravention of the done by the authorized person. They are not using the word authorized dealer. They are using the word authorized person. It provides where any authorized person contravenes any direction of the RBI, direction given by the RBI under this act, and fails to file the return directed by the RBI will be subject to penalty. They are given the quantum of the penalty. This is the penalty amount. This is the penalty amount. You pay this much penalty. This is for the, this section is for the authorized person. This captures the contravention by authorized person on any direction given by the RBI or fails to file any return directed by the RBI. Now come to section 13, which broadly covers this. It says, section 13(1) of the Fema says, if any person contravenes, the word uses any person. They are not using word if any person other than authorized person contravenes any provisions of this thing or not. So does it mean these authorized persons are not only covered by the section 11(3), they are also covered by the section contravention under section 13(1) also. Or some may interpret in the way, oh, see 11(3) gives the contravention by the authorized person. So they are not covered by the section 13(1). But if they want really to do that, then why they should use the word any person? See, if you see the definition of any person, that any person will come, that authorized person will come in that definition. Yes or no? That will definitely come in the definition of the person. Now, issue arises that this authorized, now I will assume that, okay, he is also covered under section 11(3) and is also covered under section 13(1). Authorized person, I presume that he is covered under both the sections. If he contravenes their directions, he is liable, or fails to file the return, he is liable. Now, if he contravenes any rules, regulation, notification, direction, order issued by the RBI under this contravening is a condition subject to which RBI has granted some approval. Now, if I say, for time being, I presume it, he is also covered under both the sections. So, and he is liable for penalty at both the sections. First, I would cover in that way. Since the word used is any person, they would not use any person except authorized person. Now, whether by covering this authorized person in both the section, that is section 11(3) and section 13(1), does it not amount to double jeopardy? My statement is that I'm covering this authorized person in 11(3) because that is categorically if any authorized person fails to follow the direction given by the RBI, fails to file a return. Another section 13(1) says any person contravenes. Any person, I presume that authorized person is also part of any person. I cannot exclude him any part of, because the word is an inclusive definition. It starts with an includes. So an illustrative list which has been given. Now, I presume that AP are also covered by this, both the sections. They are covered for contravention if they are also covered by any contravention which is covered under 13. Now, does it not amounts to double jeopardy against the authorized persons? What is this double jeopardy? This double jeopardy is nothing but the works on the principle of the Latin word, that is nemo debet bis vixari pro ed idem causa, which means that no person shall be vexed twice for the same cause of offense. Now, does this amount to same offense? Contravention, say for example, if you see the section 13(1), if you see the section 11(3), it says the contravenes any direction. Again, if you see the section 13, it also use word the direction. Whether that AP will be covered in both the section, whether does it not amount to double jeopardy, which is nothing but the principle of the law is very that no person shall be vexed twice for the same cause or offense. it is this all this proposition also supported by the Article 20, sub Article 2 of the Constitution of India, which provides that no person shall be punished or prosecuted for same offense more than once. Again, if I don't include, that does not make proper sense. Otherwise, they would have categorically cut. Some consultant may have different views, Okay, no, we should not include there. Already we had included under section 11.3, so we should not bring. But sometimes I feel, why should not I include? Because the word used is any person. Now, I was going through the FAQs of the RBI on compounding. Now, if you see the first FAQ, which says that who are compounding authority, they say this RBI and the DOI are the authority, and in between they start the words. Just I will use the word what they had used in the first answer to the first one. They say willful, malified, and fraudulent transaction, however, which are serious, will not be compounded by the Reserve Bank of India. So this will be compounded by the DOE. If Directorate of Enforcement, they further say that answer further says, if the Directorate of Enforcement bracket DOE is of view that a compounding proceeding relates to serious contravention suspected from the money laundering, terror, sovereignty, such cases shall not be compounded by the Reserve Bank of India. Now, firstly, from where this RBI gets the words, I don't understand. First of all, if you read the question number 9 of that same FAQ, it says, what are sensitive contraventions? Now they were trying to define what are the sensitive contraventions. This sensitive term, from where they got this sensitive terms? This sensitive term is never used in the Fema Act. After going through, I downloaded the Fema Act. In the word, I started searching sensitive word. I failed to understand when Act itself does not use the word sensitive, they started using the sensitive contraventions. At least they should try to clear other ambiguities which are there in the Act. Firstly, this is the clarification. They are clarifying the stand. What is this RBI, this FAQ? FAQ is nothing but the stand of RBI on certain, and they clarify this is our stand on this. Now in that stand, they create something new word called sensitive contravention. This sensitive contravention is not used in the Fema Act. Nowhere in the Fema Act it covers the word sensitive contraventions. But if you see the master direction at one place, they use the word sensitive. But after when they answer, they never use the sensitive. They say the case involving serious contraventions, suspected money laundering, terror are categorized as sensitive. Now they define in this way. Act has not defined. Act has never used the word sensitive. Now this RBI wants to use the word sensitive. Now, whenever you see the Act or any law, sometimes Act is substantive Act and that may be procedural. And in Act also, there will be some substantive provisions and there will be procedural provisions. Substantive provisions creates the rights and liabilities. Now, procedural provisions, how to give this procedural provision, give the machinery, how this substantive provisions will be given effect to. If you see the section 13 of the Fema, which deals with the contravention, 3 times whatever penalty, that is substantive provisions. For contravention, you are liable for this much penalty. But how to enforce that? How they will enforce that penalty? How they will collect that? What is the machinery? What are the rules for that? They are covering into section 14 of the Fema, where they would use the word arrest, arrested, arresting, imprisonment, civil imprisonment. Now, coming to the arrest portion of this. Coming to the arrest under Fema. You broadly got the idea what exactly I discussed. Be careful when you are giving any advice to this thing. Then section 13.1 read with the section 11.3. Now coming one more aspect of this thing, arrest. Normally we people are afraid of arrest. Somebody says somebody is arrested, automatically some fear factors goes around in the body. Now, if you see the Fema Act, the word imprisonment in Fema, it is used only for 2 times at 2 places. The word imprisonment in Fema is used at 2 places, and that too in one it is used with in conjunction with the simple imprisonment. Okay. Now, if you see the word arrest, word arrest, arresting, arrested are used 16 times in the act. Arrest, arresting, arrested is used 16 times in the act, out of which the word arrested is used 3 times and arresting is used 2 times, and balance arrest of warrant they had used it. Now coming to section 13, 1A, 1B and 1C. This section are inserted from 2015. Then I will define what is arrest, what is simple civil arrest, civil imprisonment. Let me first touch upon the section 13, 1A, 13, 1B, 13, 1C, because these are the first section which are talking about the imprisonment. Section 13(1)(a) provides for the acquisition of foreign exchange, immovable property, foreign security situated outside India, exceeding the threshold given in section 37(a)(1) of the Fema. Understand again, it says whosoever acquires it, using the word who is acquiring, Now if you see the mockery, the word is, let me read for you. It says, if any person is found to have acquired any foreign exchange, if any person who is found to have acquired, it is only the acquirer who is punishable. Now you are a chartered accountant, I'm advocate, I'm chartered, I'm proud to be chartered accountant. If somebody comes for me, I'm advising how to acquire. I'm not acquiring. The word used in Fema is any person is found to have acquired. I have not acquired. I had just given my advice. It's a hypothetical example. Don't, otherwise EDB will come to my door. Come on, you are helping them. It's just a theoretical. It says if any person found to have acquired, Mr. A has acquired, but I have helped him to acquire. I am not covered. I am consultant. I told him you acquire this asset outside India. You remit all the funds, but without realizing the prescribed limit given under section 37(a)(1) of the Fema. Okay. Now this penalty or this adjudication is on the person who acquires, not the consultant who advised the acquirer. It says it provides for the acquisition of any foreign exchange, foreign security, immovable property or situated outside India, exceeding the threshold given in section 37(a) bracket 1, exceeding the threshold limit, then he shall be liable for the penalty that equals to 3 times of the sum involved in the contravention or falsification of value equivalent, blah blah blah. That is not relevant for me as an arrest session. Now come to section 13(1)(b). It empowers adjudicating authority not below the rank of assistant director to initiate prosecution proceedings by filing criminal complaint against the guilty person. and he has to record the reason in writing. That we had studied recording the reason in writing long back in section 148 of the Income Tax Act. Again, I am repeating. Section 13(1)(b) empowers adjudicating officer not below the rank of assistant director to initiate prosecution proceedings by filing criminal complaint against the guilty person. Now, the word used in the act is criminal complaint against the guilty person. Now, what is this criminal complaint? Before whom we need to file the criminal complaint? Does we not invoking the criminal content? Does we not opening the window for the code of criminal procedure to come in? When I say criminal complaint, I definitely in my mind comes there is something related to the code of criminal procedure and code of civil Indian Penal Code. When the words used in this section 13(b) makes me to take my brain to the code of criminal procedure, Indian Penal Code. Does I not say this is civil law, but this is quasi-criminal law, not civil, it's a quasi-criminal. Though there is, I don't doubt that if there is any contravention that will be compounded by paying money, that will be compounded by paying penalty, game of everything over. सब कुछ माफ, जो कुछ किया सब कुछ माफ. When I invoke the criminal complaint, this does not open the window for the code of criminal procedure, how the trial will take place. If I file the criminal complaint, where I will file a criminal complaint? Who is the authority to handle the criminal complaint? What is the procedure given? See, if there is substantial provision, there should be machinery provision also. There is landmark judgment in capital gains. If there is substantive provision, there is no machinery provision for calculation. Automatically, the whole system fails. The whole machinery fails for the calculation of capital gains. If now they said that the filing of the criminal complaint against the guilty, then how you will do that? You will go before the magistrate, or you will go before the adjudicating authority. Who is empowered? Who has the jurisdiction to handle the criminal complaints? Do not I say this law is not civil law, but this is a quasi-criminal law. Now, if you see the section 13(1)(c), it again says, in addition to the penalty imposed, this penalty is imposed under section 13(1)(a). It says, in addition to penalty imposed, person will be punishable with the imprisonment for the term which may extend to 5 years or fine. It does not use the or both. It uses only extend to 5 years imprisonment for the term 5 years or fine. Now, which imprisonment? Civil imprisonment. They are using the word civil imprisonment, simple imprisonment, rigorous imprisonment. Which imprisonment? Detention. What exactly are they? What exactly Fema want to say? See, in normal circumstances, whenever you use the word imprisonment, when there is some imprisonment, we presume it to be a simple imprisonment, not rigorous. सिंपल में बस जाके कोर्ट में उसको जेल के अंदर बिठा दो, कुछ करने को दो ही मत, आराम का 2 वक्त का खाना मिलेगा, सुबह को नाश्ता मिलेगा, दोपहर का खाना मिलेगा, रात को मिलेगा, दोपहर को आराम करना है, नथिंग डूइंग, कुछ केस लॉ नहीं पढ़ना है, कोई बुक नहीं पढ़ना है, कोई मगजमारी नहीं. You don't have any obligation on your bench. Go and sit in the jail. Simple imprisonment. Section 13 word use the imprisonment. It does not use the word civil imprisonment. It does not use the simple imprisonment. It merely use the word civil imprisonment. Now, let me clarify. Is there any difference between the imprisonment, arrest, or civil imprisonment? Section 13(1)(c) says, in addition to the penalty, there will be imprisonment which may extend to 5 years or fine. Okay. But it does not use the word whether it's a simple imprisonment, whether it's a civil imprisonment. Nothing has been used, so I'll presume it's a simple imprisonment. Now, please let me know what is the difference between the imprisonment and arrest. What is the difference between the civil imprisonment and arrest? These 3 terms are not defined anywhere in the Fema. They are used in the Fema, but it has not been defined in the Fema. Anyone? You know, this civil imprisonment I'd seen somewhere in Code of Civil Procedure and where I'd seen this word, but they are also not different. I started searching on the Black's dictionary whether the civil imprisonment has been defined or not. But that also I failed, I did not get it. Maybe मुझसे कुछ गलती हो गई रहेगी. आप लोग भी देख लेना एक बार खोल के. मुझे तो नहीं दिखा कहीं सिविल इम्प्रिजनमेंट डिफाइन किया ब्लैक्स लॉ डिक्शनरी में. हो गया, नंबर का चश्मा है, क्या करूं, कभी कभी रह जाता है. तो यू ऑल्सो चेकअप. आई चेक बट यू ऑल्सो चेकअप. Do I deduce the meaning of this civil imprisonment in Indian Penal Code or Code of Criminal Procedure or in any other law? I need to understand if this kind of provision they are inserting into the law. They cannot go on using the word without defining it, or they should use the term. They should use the term this imprisonment is as defined in the Code of Civil Procedure or Indian Penal Code. Just they go on defining, creating ambiguity on ambiguity. Now, my first question again is whether there is difference between arrest or imprisonment. मेरा सिंपल क्वेश्चन है, अरेस्ट और इम्प्रिजनमेंट में कुछ फर्क है क्या? दोनों सेम है? They both are different. Normally, imprisonment occurs only after person is found guilty. He is imprisoned for 5 years. He is imprisoned for 5 years. If you see the section 14(2) of the Fema uses the word arrest and detention in civil prison. Arrest and detention in civil prison. What is civil prison? I do not know. I have not seen civil prison. This days last week I was making very hard efforts in the Bombay High Court library to find out the definition of the civil prison. Where exactly the civil prison has defined. I failed. Luckily or unfortunately, I failed to get the meaning of the civil. But I say that civil prison means also kind of simple imprisonment where you have been kept without any work. You be idle, enjoy whatever you want to think. They will not give you mobile you to play there. Huh? You be inside the prison. They will not make you to work. They will not use the carpentry work or any other work. Keep mum. Have your breakfast. Have your lunch. Have your dinner. Don't take any tension. Now, what is this arrest? How do one define arrest? Let me have water, please. I'll take only 2 minutes, to gulp one sip of water. See, any law, when they are using any expression, if they don't give direction or if they don't say where it has been defined or they don't give the proper, that creates a lot of litigation. Court is, if you go to courts, there are so many cases. You go sometime to High Court, you see that there is a cause list out of the court. Big list, which are the cases which High Court is going to deal. There will be more than 100 cases. Oh, High Court, within the span of 5 years, have mercy on that court. Define something in the act itself. Don't create any ambiguity. I really appreciate the Bombay, the way High Court works. My really work. They give, even though I'm new faced in the High Court, they give me equal opportunity to be heard. Whenever I present any case, they give me opportunity. Yes, counsel, you say what you want to say. They really, I appreciate in this case Bombay High Court. Now coming to the arrest. If you see, arrest has not been defined in Fema. Fema is silent. You say arrest, warrant of arrest, you say imprisonment, you say civil prison, but you never define. You are leaving us to mercy of whom we don't understand. We have to check which law. No one knows. It's at the interpretation how RBI interpret, best interest of the RBI you need to interpret. You need to see the intention of the RBI. You need to the economic goal of what RBI is thinking, but we cannot think that in that level. To my surprise, when I was started going to RBI for some approval or some, asking queries. Earlier it was a timing from 2 to 4. You can meet the RBI officer. I had presented same facts to 2 AGMs, Assistant General Manager, same facts. I asked them, sir, please let me know whether approval is required in this case or not. You won't believe, their officers are adjoining each other and both have given different answer. One said, no, it does not require any approval. Other said, no, approval is required. Since nothing is given Fema, your approval is required. Now, if I believe the person who is saying approval is not required, I don't take approval, I enter into that transaction. And that case goes to person who is saying approval is required. Violation of FEMA regulations, laws, orders, directions, what to follow. If I go to the FAQ are only for the reference purpose, they don't have any legal sanity. FAQs are just for your clarity. Whether themselves are not clear, they want to clear you. Sensitive compounding, sensitive contravention, what is this? Now, what do you mean by arrest? Come back to that thing, because that times it creates a lot of problem. 2 assistant general managers are giving 2 different advice. Now they had stopped this timing from 2 to 4. To take an appointment, they will mail you and all this thing of procedures there. Now, coming to arrest. In simple words, may I not say arrest mean a curtailment of personal liberty for legal purpose? Yes or no? Arrest means curtailment of legal liberty for legal purpose. It can be constituted to be taking a person into custody by an officer empowered to arrest under the law. No one can arrest you without any empowerment. Even if officer want to arrest you, he has to give the reason, upfront reason why he is arresting you. Now, some may say that arrest is nothing but a serious interference with the fundamental rights of the personal liberty of the citizen. Now, in this reference, I will, try to take back to the Article 22 of the Constitution of India. Very good, one of the best article, I would say, safeguard the interest of from the misuse of this police officer or any arresting authority. It provides the protection from the arbitrary arrest and detention. If you see the Article 22, it provides that no person no person arrested shall be detained in the custody without being informed as soon as may be on the ground for such arrest, and he shall not be detained for more than 24 hours, and he has right to consult with his legal practitioner. Now, if I jot down the key points of that, this Article 22 applies to the arrest and made under FEMA. This arrest or imprisonment, whatever there, is subject to the Article 22 of the Constitution of India. It cannot, it cannot supersede the Article 22. So, if I jot down the key points of the Article 22, it said the right ground of arrest should be known, right to consult lawyer of his choice, that is there. Before Menka Gandhi case, there is Menka Gandhi case versus Union of India. In that case, before this judgment, there was no clarity about the consultant or lawyer of your own choice. But this case, the Supreme Court has made amply clear. It says the court are bound to provide the assistance of the lawyer to a person arrested under the ordinary law also. So that equally applies to your section 14 of the FEMA, which is really deals with the article, deals with the arrest and imprisonment. Now, I need to come to the section 14. Your arrest under Fema, your imprisonment under Fema start is there in the section 14. In section 13, which deals with the contravention, and the adjudicating authority will pass an order you to pay the penalty given 3 times over whatever the quantum is there, is quantifiable this much, if not quantifiable this much. Okay, that is in the section 13. That deals with your contravention and penalty you need to pay. How to enforce? Compounding authority, but okay, you need to pay 3 lakhs. How to pay, when to pay, what to do, that is there. How to enforce this? Somebody has not paid, okay, I will not pay, do whatever you want. 15 दिन बोला, 30 days बोला, 90 days बोला, मेरे को भरने का ही नहीं, क्या करना है? यार भर दिन आरबीआई से आके बोलेगा नहीं, प्लीज पे, यार कंपाउंडिंग योर कॉन्ट्रावेंशन. I know this Fema is civil law, जो भी करना है करो, I'm not bothered. To enforce the section 13, for enforcing the section 13, section 14 comes into picture. If I say section 13 is a substantive provision, section 14 is a procedural provision. It is just to enforce it act as a machinery to enforce the section 13. And this is the place where the Fema has used the word arrest, imprisonment, simple imprisonment, arresting, arrested, whatever words they get. Now, coming to section 14. Section 14 says, if deals with the failure to make the payment, failure to make the full payment, the word in section 14 is used. If you fail to make the full payment of penalty within 90 days from the date on which notice for payment is served. Understand, now comes your picture of the imprisonment under Fema. It says, kindly, in simple layman language, please, sir, you have compounded your contravention in section 13. Now it's time to you to pay the money. You please kindly pay within this penalty imposed under section within the 90 days. Okay, I have to pay within 90 days. Yes, yes, you have to pay in 90 days. What if what if I don't pay? We have never thought, what if you don't pay? We have other machinery. What to do when you don't pay? If you don't pay, then that will attract the civil imprisonment. Now, in simple language, if you fail to make the full payment of penalty imposed under section 13 within the period of 90 days from the date on which notice have been served, attract the liability of the civil imprisonment. Understood? Now, the important portion comes of full payment of penalty. I was presuming one situation. Say, for example, my penalty levied on me is 10 lakhs. Okay. There's some contravention which are done it. Now, they want to impose the penalty. Impose the penalty 10 lakhs rupees. Okay. Oh, I see my bank account, my FDs, everything comes together, comes to 9,90,000. I go to RBI. I have only 9,90,000. Only 10,000 are not with me. No. Word use is full payment. Full payment means 10 lakhs means 10 lakhs. Then I say, okay. What I will do? I will give 10,000 ka bank guarantee to you. 9,90,000 I will pay out of my FDs and that bank. 10,000 I will give bank guarantee from the bank. If I don't fail to pay, then collect it from bank. RBI officer very politely asked, does it amount to collecting or does it amount to payment? The first question which triggers into my mind is that whether bank guarantee amounts to payment. If yes, then definitely rather than diluting my FDs and bank account, I will say that I will give the bank guarantee of 10 lakhs. Everyone will start giving the bank guarantees. No one will pay only. It's easy to get the bank guarantee. They will charge some charges. Rather than diluting my hard cash out of my hand. What is the intention of the law? Whether full payment means full payment and it does not include bank guarantee, or it includes bank guarantee. If you see the literal interpretation, in my personal opinion, I do not know what other consultants are taking opinion. My opinion, full payment means full payment does not include the bank guarantee. Don't give me any guarantee. No, for what your guarantee? कल को बैंक ही डूब गया, बैंक ही बोलता है 1000 से ज्यादा मैं किसको नहीं देगा. There's certain news this bank has, there's some fraud in this bank now. No more functioning of this bank. कल को पता पड़ा बस 1000 ही बैंक दे रहा है निकालने को. Otherwise there is no funds in the bank. बैंक गारंटी किस चीज का गारंटी दे रहे हो, कहाँ से गारंटी दे रहे हो? So does that bank guarantee to be included the payment? I don't think so. In my opinion, to no. Make the full payment. If you don't make the full payment, then you are subject to that will attract you the criminal liability. Sorry, civil imprisonment. RBI के जैसा मेरा भी वर्ड्स स्लिप ऑफ होता है. Don't worry about that. Now, see how this RBI got this idea to insert this section 14 to subsection 14(1) to subsection 14(13). Section 14 में there are subsections 13 तक है. Section 14(1), section 14(2), section 14(3) ऐसा करके there are 13 subsections. These all are machinery sections, procedural sections. Now, अभी इतना इतना दिमाग कहाँ से चला एकदम लेजिस्लेचर का कि ये डालने का है अपन को. चल गया बाबा. We need to do something. At this juncture, I will take you to the Schedule 2 to the Income Tax Act, which deals with the recovery of taxation, PRO. You will find the tax collecting officer, all these things. And you need to read with the Code of Civil Procedure. Code of Civil Procedure is divided into section 1 to 148. Then you have the 51 orders. Now, from where they had borrowed this? If you read Part 5 of Schedule 2 to the Income Tax Act, exactly same with some modifications, you will find section 14(1) से लेके section 14(13) तक deals with the detention, arrest. पैसा नहीं देगा तो अरेस्ट करने का, शो कॉज नोटिस पे नहीं आया तो डिटेन करने का. That deals with the sections that deals with the income tax. Part 5 of the Schedule 2 of Income Tax Act, read with the Code of Civil Procedure and read with this section 14, subsection 13. I try to bring out this together. Okay. Now I made one chart, small chart here, where it becomes very easy for me. Now I start with the procedure. पहला बोलता है section 14(1) says if you don't make the penalty, if you don't make the full payment of the penalty within 90 days, then you are subject to the civil imprisonment. मेरे को ऐसे कैसे civil imprisonment देगा? Not acceptable. Section 14 says you need to read with the section rule 73(1) of the Income Tax Part 2 Schedule 2 of Income Tax Act and Order 21 of Code of Civil Procedure. Issue of show cause notice. Before proceeding with imprisonment and all these things, you need to serve the show cause notice. Why I should not take this step against you? This is nothing but the principle of natural justice need to be followed. समझो अगर यहाँ पे लिखा था नोटिस के ऊपर, नोटिस के बारे में, इट वुड हैव बीन साइलेंट, सेक्शन 42 वुड हैव बीन साइलेंट कि नोटिस का कुछ लिखा ही नहीं, नथिंग इज रिटन अबाउट द नोटिस, डायरेक्टली आके दे अरेस्ट दे इफ यू डोंट मेक द फुल पेमेंट. दैट इज whether that law is tenable in, that stand is tenable in law. No, even this 14(2) अगर silent भी रहता, if it would have been silent, still it's a duty of adjudicate authority or competent authority to give me the show cause notice. Without show cause notice, they cannot go ahead. Even if they go ahead, then I will invoke the writ jurisdiction of the High Court. Because this is my fundamental right. You are encroaching my fundamental right given by Constitution. Before taking any step, you need to give me show cause notice. Why should not I take this step against you? Please let me know. अगर still अगर ये नहीं भी दिया होता, still this is my right to ask them, give why you are not given notice to me. This is my fundamental right to get the notice. This is my constitutional right to get the notice. If they would have taken any action without giving the show cause notice under section 14(2), then any action taken by them is not valid in law, is null and void in law, have been issued right from inception. In fact, I may file one more case against them. Okay, this has created mental agony on me. Directly coming, मेरे को बोलते चलो तुमको simple imprisonment में देगा. How can you do so? So this is there. नहीं भी लिखा रहता. Still, that is my fundamental right. And it, Act should not provide something is the fundamental right. Even Act is silent on that. They need to follow. Law need to follow. Law will take course following the Constitution. अगर नहीं भी दिया था, कहीं पे भी कभी भी कुछ होता है, and notice is not given to me, to challenge that notice. बोला एक्ट में नहीं दिया तो क्या हो गया? कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बोलता है. Section 14, subsection 3 is similar to Rule 73(2) of Part 5 of Schedule 2 of Income Tax Act and Order 21 of the Code of Civil Procedure. If defaulter is likely to abscond, warrant for arrest should be made. तुमको लगता है कि ये भाग जाएगा, he is buying time to run away, to an arrest, but you need to prove it. वो भागने वाला है, उसका कोई घर में some relative is expired his native place, he's packing his things, you realize no he is going to abscond. अरे उसका relative मर गया है, he is going there, he is not absconding. Likely to abscond means what? उसको impression आए he is packing all the things, he is going somewhere out. Section 14(3) similar to say your Rule 73(2) of Income Tax. I will now use instead of Part 5 of the Schedule 2 to Income Tax Act, I will use just what the Rule 73(2). Order 2, which says defaulter, if the defaulter is likely to abscond, warrant for the arrest to be issued. Now, Section 14(4). You have diligently, you being an officer, adjudicating officer, you have diligently followed the Section 14(2) of the Fema, which says notice to be given. तुम्हें सामने वाले को notice दिया, you have given notice to that person, but he is ignoring your notice. Notice क्या है? Nothing to worry. Where appearance has not, he is not appearing for the notice given by, he is not appearing before you. You had given him notice, come and appear before me and make your stand clear. But he is not following your notice. I will not go. Then that officer has right to issue warrant for arrest. notice dila, notice have been served, he is not following notice, we don't want to come before you, issue warrant of arrest against that defaulter. Clear? Your section 14(4), your rule 73(3) of income tax and order 21 सेम, बस वहां पे TRO लिखा हुआ है इनकम टैक्स में, टैक्स रिकवरी ऑफिसर, यहाँ पे एडजुडिकेटिंग लिखा रहेगा और ऑर्डर 2 में प्लेंटिफ या तो जो भी लिखा रहेगा, बट सेम सेम, थोड़ा बहुत इधर उधर कट कॉपी पेस्ट करके चेंजेस कर देने का, दैट्स द लॉ. Coming to the rule 14, section 14(5) of the FIM. Now, defaulter against whom you are issuing the arrest warrant is not in your jurisdiction as of now. Every officer has his own jurisdiction. He cannot go beyond his jurisdiction. Just say for example, Court of Mumbai, that Metropolitan Court of Mumbai near BT station, it got its own jurisdiction. उसके बाहर रहेगा, then you come to the Girgaon Court. So every court has jurisdiction, and any accident or any transaction take place in that jurisdiction, that officer is entitled for that. He has right only on his jurisdiction. He cannot go in another jurisdiction. Section 14(5) of the Fema, extend the jurisdiction of the adjudicating officer for the purpose of issuance of warrants. Agar defaulter is in the jurisdiction of other officer, other adjudicating authority, then that other authority, adjudicating authority, will take the action. He उसको reference देगा, come on, this is a person who is in your jurisdiction, but this person has done this thing, so kindly proceed with it. So there is nothing but extension of jurisdiction of adjudicating authority for issuance of the arrest warrant. अभी क्या? Thereafter what? 14(6) says, for a person को you had arrested, na? You had arrested the person? Yes, arrested the person. Bring that arrested person before the adjudicating authority within 24 hours. Traveling time is excluded. इसको लेके आने के लिए traveling time लगेगा, that is excluded. You had arrested the person. You have to bring that person before the adjudicating authority. In case of income tax, you have to bring that arrested person before tax recovery officer within 24 hours. It's 24 hours will remain 24 hours. 24 घंटा will remain 24 hours. अभी 24 घंटा ही क्यों लेते हैं? Why they are taking 24 hours from it? They are 24 hours later. Because constitution mandates when any person is arrested should be brought before the magistrate within 24 hours. Now, अभी कैसा? So better to arrest on Friday evening. Saturday court band, Sunday court band, Monday. Section 14(6), right? Same with the rule 73(4), is same with the order 21 of the coercing procedure. Reduce the arrested person before the adjudicating authority within 24 hours of arrest. You cannot extend the time. That is the law. That law comes out of the Constitution of India, so that everyone has to follow. Now, come to section 14(7). Hearing start हो गया. That person defaulters in front of him. He says, "Tell me why you should not be in civil prison. You have committed default. Why you should not be in civil prison?" That person get opportunity of being heard here during the office asked me, "You give me the reason why you should not be behind this. You should be in civil imprisonment." Now, He gives reason, sir, the reason of not making payment is that there was corona period. That standard statement of all these 2 years. Corona period for 2 years. I don't have any source of income. From where I will bring the money? He will give his own reasons. If what right adjudicating officer do have, if he is satisfied with his answers, then comes section 14(8). Whether if he is satisfied, whether he will be released on the given surety, or he will be detained in custody pending the hearing. If you see the section 14 subsection 8, it says pending the conclusion of inquiry, the adjudicating authority may at its discretion order the defaulter to be detained in the custody of such officer as the adjudicator may think, or release him on the furnishing of the security to the satisfaction of the officer. He is giving both the choice. या तो इसको proper officer के पास दे दो. If he is giving the surety, release him. Now here comes section 49, defaulter under civil imprisonment. It's a very casually drafted, they had not taken much pain to, because it is nothing but your borrowed provision from CPC. It says upon the conclusion of inquiry, make order of the detention, civil prisoner shall be cause him to be arrested if he is not already arrested. If this says he is defaulted, arrest him. If he is not abiding with our orders, if he is not making penalty, arrest him, to detain him. Now, what if officer fails to detain him? What if officer fails to detain him or arrest him? Will he be released? Will he be released? That answer comes from your section 14(10). Coming to the detention period. For how many time, what is the period of detention, that I had dealt separately. Okay. Failure to detain order, if you see the section 10(11), that is related with the release of that person. That is not much in that. Now, I will come upon now section I will come upon detention. What is the period of detention? If you read the section 14(11), it says certificate of demand, where the demanded amount is more than 1 crore, he will be detained up to 3 years, or he will be for civil imprisonment for 3 years. In other case, it will be up to 6 months. Oh, issue before me is that whether proceeding under section 14 can be kept in abeyance by invoking writ jurisdiction of the High Court. I do not agree with us. Say, for example, I am the defaulter, I do not agree with the procedure or process given under section 14, subsection 2. Okay. Do I have fundamental right under Article 226 of the High Court to approach the High Court, file the writ petition, and get out of it? Now, question arises under Article 226, which is nothing but a special jurisdiction given to the High Court to take decisions. Wide powers are given under writ petitions. Now, whether I can file writ petitions for getting away, or I want to avoid this section 14, just I go to the one advocate बोल the writ petition file कर दो, file writ petition against this order. Whether I can file the writ petition and keep abeyance the proceedings of section 14. Whether I can do so, that's the biggest question which may arise. If you see the Article 226, which empowers the High Court to entertain the writ petitions. Now, when High Court entertain writ petitions, what happens normally? They file the writ petition, they ask for the interim relief, you pass an interim injunction order. जब तक ये proceeding final नहीं होते, give us relief. कि there will be no arrest, no civil imprisonment, nothing. Pass an interim order. जब तक वो final होता है, till the court decides the finality, comes to the finality, pass an interim order, giving me some relief. एक बार order मिल गया, then go on prolonging it. Adjournment law, PA law, counsel is not present. Just you are playing with the law. In this regard, I will like to bring in your kind notice the judgment of the Madras High Court for invoking the writ petition. But this relates to case law of the PMLA, but it can be equally applied in this case. In the case of the writ petition, under for taking abeyance of the section 14 reverse. Now, I would refer the judgment of the P-Vigilant versus Adjudicating Authority, writ petition number 15305 of the 2015. Court had very clearly said, if there is an alternate remedy available in law, then writ petition is not maintainable. Why you come to us? Do you not have any alternative in the law? When the alternative is given in the law, you go to the special director, you go to the tribunal. Why do you invoke the writ petition? Writ petition is not invoked for this. You are bypassing the whole procedure, you are bypassing the tribunal, you are bypassing the special director coming directly to us. Then everyone will start doing this. When the remedy is available in law, then you cannot invoke the writ petition jurisdiction of the High Court. They may impose sometimes cost also on you. You are wasting the time of the court when efficacious remedy is available in the law. Writ petition is not for that. If there is no efficacious remedy, if there is no alternative available, there is no forum available for them, you can invoke the writ petition, not otherwise. Now, in this regard, I will start one more judgment of the Devdas Multimedia Private Limited versus Joint Director. It's a judgment of the High Court of Karnataka, writ petition number 11544 of 2017, dated 4/10/2017. I would like to read the words of this, the para which has been important para, or you can say the operative para of the judgment, how they had dealt with the writ petitions. Let me allow to read the relevant extract of that judgment. It says, the Karnataka High Court held under para 30 held that it is necessary to notice that the stage of provisional attachment under section 5(1) of PMLA Act, a person interested in the enjoyment of the suspected immovable property is not deprived of enjoyment. Now I'll come to very operative para. It says, a mechanism is provided under the Act for redressals of the grievances. A mechanism is provided under this Act for redressal of the grievances at different stages. That is to say, before adjudicating authority at first instance, later before appellate tribunal. It's only when a person aggrieved by the order of appellate tribunal, he may file an appeal with to the High Court under PMLA. When such mechanism is provided for the effective redressal with four corners of provision, petition is not justified by rushing to this court. Why you are rushing to this court when there is a mechanism provided in the Act? Whether arrest or civil arrest, the mechanism is there. You go to tribunal, you go to special director, file an order, file a complaint, file an appeal against the order of the adjudicating officer. You cannot directly invoke the writ jurisdiction of High Court. Don't dare to do that. You're already busy. Now, one more important aspect comes. First, thereafter I will cover whether violation of principal natural justice arises at the time of provisional attachment. I will cover it subsequently, but before that, I want to cover whether evidence collected under PMLA is relevant for Fema. PMLA being criminal law, Fema being civil law, but I may sometimes use this as a quasi-criminal because of the sections given in that 13 IC or at other places, especially in section 1413. Now, my question arises whether evidence obtained under PMLA is relevant for Fema. There is one judgment under PMLA. It is R. Vishwanathan versus Directorate of Enforcement dated 22/11/2018. The case under Fema was built on the evidence acquired during the course of PMLA. Investigation was going under PMLA. They were reducing the evidence, they were reducing the documents. They realized there is something Fema violation also in that. Now, whether the case can be built under Fema on the basis of evidence acquired during the investigation under PMLA. क्वेश्चन समझ में आया? PMLA का इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो रहा था, वो उधर एविडेंस कलेक्ट किया, वो बेसिस पे फेमा में केस बन सकता है क्या? This was dealt by the tribunal, PML tribunal, in the case of R. Vishwanathan versus ED dated 22/11/2018. It says the tribunal very clearly asserted that there is no provision under Fema which is barring the use of such evidence. Is there any section in Fema which is barring me to use this evidence? No. Then why not? In other way around, I can say evidence obtained under Fema, evidence obtained during the course of investigation PMLA can be used for the Fema. Coming to the next aspect. Next aspect I want to cover whether sorry. My next question I want to cover whether violation of principal justice arises at the time of provisional attachment. The CED import to make the provisional attachment is they are bound to follow the principles of natural justice at the time of provisional attachment, or they can directly go ahead. They say no, there is no need for to follow the principle of natural justice in case of the provisional attachment. Are they bound to follow the principle of natural justice? There is one case of Sri Trivakarma Prasad versus Enforcement Directorate. It is reported in 2014 SCC Online, Hyderabad 819. Now, again, question is that whether violation of principal justice natural arises at the provisional attachment. The answer is no. There is no need for giving there is no violation of the principle of natural justice. It is based on the judgment of the Andhra Pradesh High Court. If you read the para number 37 of the judgment, it says the petitioner has the effective and the efficacious effective and efficacious statutory remedy to prove the nature of acquisition of the asset and ventilate the grievances. I will use the another paragraph, operative para of this, which really clears out the why qualified of this thing.
So sorry to interrupt in between. Your screen is stuck. Many participants are complaining about it, sir.
What happened?
Your screen is stuck. I believe you are on 13th slide.
Yeah.
So you're okay.
I'm
Thank
on
you, sir.
I'm using the second last question, whether the violation of the principal natural justice arises at time of the provisional attachment.
Okay, sir.
That is second.
Thank you.
Now that is been answered by the Andhra Pradesh High Court. It says in para number 30 of the judgment, it says it is a premature to go into the validity of attachment order at that threshold, and even before the adjudicating considers the issue. This issue has not been yet considered. They are just making the provisional attachment. It is a symbolic attachment, no physical attachment. It is also borne in mind that any observation made by the court would have the bearing on the pending investigation trial. The court further says that joint director is competent to pass order of attachment. It is not a case lack of jurisdiction to the enforcement directorate. Violation of principle of natural justice at the provisional attachment it does not arise, as statutes has not made provision of opportunity of hearing prior to the provisional attachment. The attachment has not yet taken place. Why you are talking of this principle of natural justice? This is the whole gamut of the section 14, which deals with the arrest under Fema, which deals with the imprisonment under Fema, which deals with the civil imprisonment under Fema. Now coming to the last section of the arrest and attachment, that is section 14.3. If I read the section 14.3, it says detention order may be executed at the place in India in a manner provided for the execution of warrant of arrest under Code of Criminal Procedure. Again, the Fema is using the word criminal procedure. It says execution of the detention order will be as per your Code of Criminal Procedure. Now, where to see this execution of order in Code of Criminal Procedure? Which are the section relevant? If I'm not mistaken, section 70 to section 81 of the Code of Criminal provides for this execution of the order. How it will be executed, what you need to do, how you need to do, what are the steps involved in this execution, that all is given. Now again, do I not say, after reading section 14, after reading 14.13, that this Fema is not in civil law in itself, somewhere it has got the taste of criminal law also. Earlier I used the section 13.1c. Now I'm using this 14.13. Detention order will be executed as given in the Code of Criminal Procedure. Why they are using the Code of Criminal Procedure? Why they are using the word in section 13.1c, 1b, criminal proceeding, criminal complaint against the defaulter? Does it indirectly they are saying this somewhere or around this law is partially quasi-criminal. Arrest, you need to follow the principles given in section 14, which are as good as what is given in the schedule 2 of the Income Tax Act, and which are nothing but the part of your Code of Civil Procedure. More important that it is nothing but an indirect replica of Article 22 of the Constitution of India. It gives the rights, what are the rights available with the person who is going to get detained illegally. Now, you are not happy with the order of the adjudicating officer, then what you will do? What you will do? Okay, adjudicating officer has passed the order. I am not happy with it. What I do? Law is very clear. Section 17 says if you are not happy with the order of the adjudicating officer, you go ahead with the appeal with the director. You put your grievances. The procedure is given under section 70. Within how many days you have to file appeal? What is the form of appeal that is given? You go according to the appeal of the special director. If you are again not happy, if you agree by the order passed by the appeal of the special director, go to appellate tribunal. The appellate tribunal has been constituted. Go there, put your grievances before the tribunal. Again, if you are not happy with we are not happy with anything. till the time something favor us. Okay, then I will go to High Court. Okay, you can go to High Court. See, now the thing is that in section 7, if you read the section related with the appeals, it allows you to go to appeal to the special director. Thereafter, you can go to tribunal. Thereafter, you can go to High Court. But this appeal section does not give you right to go to Supreme Court. The act is silent. They are clear about up to High Court. Okay, you do this thing, you do this thing, you go to appeal director, special director, you go to adjudicating director, you go to appellate tribunal, you go to High Court. But whether I can go to the Supreme Court or not, that is silent. Act is silent. When act is silent, it means I don't have any remedy available. I cannot, what I can do in that case? I want to go to Supreme Court only now. I'm not happy with the order passed by the High Court. Whether I can go to Supreme Court. How? Normal appeal is not allowed. I cannot go. Then other two options available with me are the SLP or writ. Now, when to use SLP, when to use writ? That is writ petition. If normal procedure or there is no remedy given, remedy is given me up to the High Court, not to the Supreme Court. Up to that High Court, thereafter act is silent. Act does not provide for appeal to Supreme Court. So do I not have any right to go to Supreme Court? Or there is some mechanism thereby I can put my grievances before the Supreme Court? The two alternatives available with me are the writ petition and the SLP, special leave petition. What is the special leave petition and what is writ petition? When to invoke a special leave petition? See, when there is an encroachment of your fundamental rights and there is no efficacious remedy available with you, but there is encroachment of fundamental rights, then I have to prefer it. That is under Article 32 of the Constitution of India. 226 deals with the High Court, 32 deals with the Supreme Court. I will not go into deep of the procedure that you file this form, you file this form, you go within, you have to file within 45 days, that you can read it out of this thing. Now, what remedy is available with me? How to go? Whether I have to use the SLP or whether I have to use the writ. When to use SLP, when to use writ. I am in Fema only, I am not going out of Fema. I am not out of the Fema. Now, two alternatives available with me. First is writ petition. When I can invoke the section 32, Article 32 of the Constitution, there is infringement of some fundamental rights of mine. There is no adequate forum available for me to claim my right. There is encroachment on my fundamental rights, which are embedded in the Constitution of India. That is part of the Constitution, fundamental rights given to me by the Constitution. There is encroachment on that. There is no remedy available. Then go by writ petition. Be clear in your mind. You need to prove the maintainability before the Supreme Court or High Court. Whenever you invoke the writ petition jurisdiction of the High Court or Supreme Court, you need to show maintainability. How this suit or writ petition is maintainable before us. Why you not approach other forums which are available to you? Now SLP. SLP means it's a special leave petition. Leave means permission. Some grave wrong has happened to you. May not be, it may be fundamental, may not be fundamental. Some grave thing has happened to you. There is no provision which can give you shelter, or there is no provision which can safeguard your rights. But the consequence of that will be very serious on you. Then you can invoke. Then you can invoke you go to the Supreme Court, you file SLP, that is special leave petition. You file a special petition taking permission from the Supreme Court. Okay, I want to file this petition. If they agree, you go ahead with that. I hope it's clear. This is the procedure given. This is the appeal format given. These are the appeals where to make the appeal. That within how many days, how to do appeal. That is in procedure part. You can go through the books. Section I have written section 17, 19, and somewhere at the High Court is section 35. So you can take the shelter of that thing. And if it is not, if that the High Court order is not applicable, then either you go to writ or you can go to SLP, as the case may be. Depends. That depends truly on the case-to-case basis. With that, I give the conclusion statement on the Fema arrest. If you see the section Fema arrest and imprisonment, only section 13 and 14 covers with this thing. Section 13 is a substantial section which creates a liability for the payment of penalty, and section 14 gives the enforcement, how you will enforce it. Otherwise, if you see section 37, which gives the right, gives to the EDs for investigation, power to investigate. Otherwise, there is nothing more given in the Fema, but there are very heavy repercussions once this Fema, this imprisonment is invoked, though it isn't procedural. We consultant, when I was working as chartered accountant, then I was very afraid of this, arrest, imprisonment. When I see the police officer with the 3 stars coming near me, but now this is regular for me, because daily I go to High Court and daily I argue something, daily I mention some cases. So this 3-star officer, 4-star officer, does not much create. But as far as Fema is concerned, these are the 2 sections which deals with your imprisonment. Section 13, which has been inserted in that 1A, 1B, 1C has been inserted with effect from 2015. And you have the section 14, which is divided into 13 subsections. All are procedural in nature. How to give effect to this? What is civil imprisonment, which has never been defined. Civil prison, they are not defined. Nowhere it has been defined in Fema what is civil imprisonment. Rather than using the sensitive contravention, they would have defined what is the civil imprisonment. With that, with my deliberation on the arrest under Fema, and little bit I discussed about the appeals, okay, how appeal will take place and what is the procedure. Procedure you can go to take within how many days, and form all is given in the act. You need to say that further. I say that if you see the section EA, where the contravention are purely covered, dealt by the ED only. Now ED has been given multidisciplinary body. It has powers under PMLA. It has some powers under Fema. It has powers under Fugitive Offender Act. And to the extent now in FERA, the notices issued somewhere in 2002, just to limit it to that only. Now, Fema being, if you see now and then in the newspaper, you see many contraventions under Fema. Either they are aware of the Fema is civil law, nothing is there. Compounding, you tell me. Now there are so many you read on day-to-day basis. You tell me one case under Fema where the trial has been completed in the court and the accused has been punished with the imprisonment. Imprisonment for 3 years, imprisonment for, give me one case. If you see, take one case of Mr. Raja that was there, I don't remember. He got arrested, the trial was over, he was released on bail. So, per se, Fema, somewhere it is you hampering a society at large. But that can be this, but more than that, nothing is there related to arrest. There are so many cases day and night, daily newspaper. Sometimes some people say, no, this Fema, this enforcement directed is a politically motivated act of the government. No, motivated act means what? They are confiscating your property. Means there is something available on records, your property is there. They know your weak point. You got the 1,000 crore property. If you do something, definitely I will do this. Some people are of the opinion this Fema is nothing but it's a game of the political parties. To one extent I can say yes, but to other extent I can say no. These are so much powered by central government. They have right. They can tomorrow also come to my place and say, oh, we have some doubt and we have got the information. We have the concrete information. Material is on record. You give us the details of this property. From where you admit this investment. So with this, I will finish my deliberation, which is very limited because section 13 and 14 covers with the imprisonment, arresting, That's it. Thank you. Wake up, my friends. My deliberation is over.
Hello, sir. Yeah, now I would like to request Shikha ma'am to check the queries and ask faculty. Shikha ma'am?
Hello.
Yeah, you're audible, ma'am.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
So first of all, I would like to say thanks to Raja sir for giving such a knowledgeable session. And now I would like to go for the queries. Just a minute. Sir, first query is it possible for NRIs to own 100% equity in query companies?
Tomorrow you have the NRI lecture. You can ask there. This session was related with the arrest and imprisonment under Fema.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Second question, can the arrest under Fema be at the midnight in between sleeping hours, or Fema guidelines provide principle of natural justice? Kindly clarify.
See, if you see the section 14.2, what do you mean by principle of natural justice? First of all, you need to understand that principle of natural justice means you have been given the opportunity of being heard. You have been given opportunity to put your case before the authorities. You have been given right to question them. Your decision is arbitrary. So this is the fundamental right. If you see the section 14.2 where they are giving you notice, show cause notice is given. Giving a show cause notice in itself is a fundamental right. Giving a show cause notice isn't giving an opportunity of to being heard. This is nothing but the principle of natural justice.
Okay.
Now, to what extent you will be heard, that is a different question. Now, if you go to really, if you have practically gone to the compounding process, because the compounding process involves the opportunity of being given heard personally, they will hardly hear you for 5 to 10 minutes. Oh my God, the stake of the case involves more than 100 crores and you are giving 5 minutes word. No, you are given everything on statement, na? Now we will take that. So does it mean that he has given me? See, that is on record. Okay, they had called me. The personal meeting was over. Now anything happens, they will say we have given personal meeting to him. This is nothing but compliance with the principle of natural justice. Even say for example, if that notice and hearing opportunity is not given to me, it is not given in that. Can I invoke the Constitution of India? Can I invoke the articles of the Constitution of India? Say that there is a fundamental infringement of my fundamental rights. This right would have been given to me of hearing. No one can pass any adverse order against me without hearing me. This is the rule of law. This is the rule of law. No authority can pass adverse order against me without being heard. Okay, they say no, there is no provision in the act. We will not give any opportunity. Then I will invoke the writ jurisdiction of the High Court. So many times in section 148, I had appeared before the income tax High Court, saying that this notice was not given or it is invalid notice. High Court has clearly understood. They said no, notice need to be given and notice should state this. Now, if you say, I will give some very basic example. 148 notice. They are given figure. Oh, there is undisclosed income of the 100 crores. From where you got the 100 crores? Can you give me the breakup of 100 crores? No answer for that. I have no other way. Even though something is mentioned in income tax, I will go to High Court. I will go to High Court and show to the satisfaction of the court. See, sir, he has given me 148 notice, whereby he is saying that you have the undisclosed income of 100 crores. From where he got the 100 crores? I am sure, as of now, if you go to court number 13 of the Bombay High Court, they are very clear. Okay, if you do such thing, income tax, they are really pro, I should say, SSE. This, if you do this way, will not accept this notice. They immediately, set back the notice. They immediately quash the notice. So fundamental principle of is the right to be heard. It's the fundamental principle of the law. No authority can pass an adverse order against you without being heard. Unless you don't put your stand before the authority, they cannot pass any adverse order. If they are passing any adverse order without hearing you, without being a proper opportunity of being hearing you, then that orders is null and void, I would say, in that language.
Okay, thank you. And now next question is, along with Fema, if the client has violated under PMLA, Income Tax Act, Companies Act, any other regulation, in such situation, which act shall get first priority for processing the case for arrest?
It always that if you read the PMLA, it provides notwithstanding and contained in any other act. It starts with the non-obstant clause.
Okay.
When something it say any other act. So PMLA being special act. PMLA being special act overrides all the acts.
Okay, got it, sir. First will be the PMLA.
It's a special act. See, now you need to read the wordings. You need to read the preamble of the law. Now, sometimes when you read the act, it says notwithstanding anything contained in this act. So it overrides all the section of this act. But sometimes it contains notwithstanding anything contained in any other act. And this being very special law, this being very special now, if you take the PMLA, if you take the NDPS, that is narcotics, penchotropic objects, they are the special laws. They override normally with all the laws. They, if you take the NDPS, there you need not to follow the code of criminal procedure, though that is NDPS, the criminal law. You need to follow the special law only, what is given in the NDPS. Now you need to read what are the objectives and what are the way it is drafted. If I say NDP is the latest law and it used the word notwithstanding anything contained in the act, then I will prefer the PML is override all the acts. But sometimes it happens, the two acts use the same words. Now if I say insolvency and bankruptcy code, correct, and say for Companies Act, both are using same wordings, notwithstanding contained in any other act. So there is overlap of these sections, overlap of wordings. Companies also use the word notwithstanding anything contained in any other act. IBC also contains the same wordings, notwithstanding anything contained in any other act or any other law. In this case, IBC will override because this is the latest law. This has come after Companies Law. So this will override the provisions of the Companies Act. In my literal interpretation. There was Keshavananda versus State of Kerala Supreme Court judgment. When you are reading any law, you need to read the law with the object with it has been drafted. Now, from where you will get the objects? What are the objects of that? You need to see the preamble of the law. That is the main object of the law for reason for it has been drafted. You need to see thereafter you will find the statement and objects given in the act. Whenever you read act, you will find these things, statement and objects. You get the clear idea, okay, what is the object of this law. I hope I'm clear to that aspect.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Any other question, Deepika? Can you ask audience? And if anybody want to ask anything specific?
No, ma'am. These are the only questions. So, both of things.
Okay, sir. So now we are done with the queries. Thanks a lot for this wonderful session. I will take this honors to give the thanks of God. So, sir, thank you so much for this wonderful session. Very much practical oriented, very much useful for the audience. You have covered all the panel provisions related to Fema and explained very well what are the differences between different terms like arrest, imprisonment, civil imprisonment, because these look very same and similar, but there is lots of difference and you have explained it very well. So and by comparing this income tax panel provision in income tax and CPC, this civil procedure. So you have explained the panel provision in detail by giving reference of all the sections, rules and the order number. So that was very helpful. This comparative table was very helpful. And by having inclusive of case laws and examples, this session has become totally practically oriented and very useful.
Madam, your comments are genuine now. I take it as genuine comments now.
No, sir. It's not genuine. But seriously, very nice session. I mean, so much detailed you have given us this.
No,
pen.
but if you read the section, if you read the FEMA only, there are two sections, 13 and 14, which talks of this one. And that too, 14 isn't that nothing but enforcement of section 13. So not much is given. So anyhow, I have made for 2 hours. It's okay. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you. So.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you so much, sir. Now we can conclude the session. Thank you so much.